Okay, let's try something. When I say digital accessibility, what's the very first thing that pops in your head? Chances are, for a lot of us, it's the same thing, but today, we're going to go way beyond that one idea and really dig into the full, interconnected world of what digital access truly means.
Yup, websites. That's usually the answer. And look, making websites accessible is so important, absolutely critical. But it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Think about it. The digital world we live in every single day is so much more than that. It's on our phones, it's in the documents we share, it's even in the tools we use to create things. It's huge.
So what are we missing when we only focus on websites? I mean, what about all those apps you use on your phone? Or the PDFs you have to download for work or school? What about the software we all use to build this stuff in the first place? Yeah, that's what we're going to break down today.
All right, so let's start with what we all know best, websites. This is kind of the public face of the digital world, right? And it really sets the stage for everything else we're about to talk about.
The rulebook, or the blueprint for making websites accessible, is something called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, as you'll hear it called. And it all boils down to four main ideas. First, content has to be perceivable, meaning people can actually take it in. Then it has to be operable, so you can interact with it. It also needs to be understandable, not a confusing mess. And finally, it has to be robust, which is a fancy way of saying it needs to work with all sorts of different technologies, especially the assistive tech people rely on.
Okay, so what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it means things like having descriptive alt text on images, so a screen reader can tell someone what's in the picture. It means making sure all the fields in a form are clearly labeled, so you're not just guessing where your name goes. It's about making sure you can navigate an entire website using only your keyboard, no mouse needed. And of course, captioning videos. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they are the absolute fundamentals for an inclusive web.
Okay, so we've covered websites. Now let's take all those same ideas and pack them into the tiny screen you carry around in your pocket. The core rules are the same, but trust me, the playing field is a whole lot different.
So, those four core principles from WCAG, perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust, they are still our foundation here. But on mobile, they face totally unique challenges. For an app to be perceivable, the text has to be resizable, right? For it to be operable, the buttons have to be big enough for a finger to actually tap them. To be understandable, you can't rely on complex swipe gestures without offering a simpler alternative. And to be robust, it has to play nice with the phone's native screen readers, like VoiceOver on iPhones or TalkBack on Android.
All right, we've talked about the interactive stuff, websites and apps, but what about all those static files we send around every day? The PDFs, the Word docs, the spreadsheets. This is a huge and honestly often forgotten piece of the whole accessibility puzzle.
And I really want to land this point because this is so critical. For someone who uses a screen reader, an inaccessible PDF isn't just annoying, it's literally a brick wall. All that information inside is completely locked away. It turns what could be a vital document into nothing more than a digital dead end.
So how do we fix this? How do we tear down that wall? Well, it starts with the simple things, like using proper headings, H1, H2, and so on to give the document structure. Just like a website, images need that good old alt text. Tables need their headers defined so the data makes sense. But the real game changer here is tagging the content. That's what tells the screen reader the logical order to read things, so it doesn't just come out as a garbled mess.
So far, we've focused on the things people see and use, the final website, the final app, the final document. But what if we took a step back and went a level deeper? What about the actual tools we're using to build all this stuff?
Well, there are guidelines for that too. They're called the Authoring Tool Accessibility Guidelines, or ATAG. And you can think of ATAG as having a really cool two-part mission. Part 1, the tools themselves, like your content management system or video editor, have to be accessible for people with disabilities to use. Part 2, those same tools should actively help and guide everyone who uses them to create accessible content right from the get-go. And this brings up a really important question for anyone out there who makes anything digital. Take a look at the tools you use every day. Are they helping you be accessible, or are they actually making it harder? Are they nudging you in the right direction, or are they just silent?
Let me give you a perfect, concrete example of ATAG in action. Imagine a content management system, a CMS, that literally will not let you publish an article until you've added alt text to every single image. That's not some annoying bug, that's a brilliant feature. The tool itself is forcing good habits and building accessibility right into the process.
Okay, let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway from all this? It's that true digital accessibility isn't about just fixing one thing, like a website. It's about understanding this entire interconnected system that we are all a part of.
And when you look at it like this, it just clicks, doesn't it? Websites, mobile apps, documents, and the very tools we use to make them, they're not separate things. They are all pieces of the exact same puzzle. If you drop the ball in one area, it can completely mess up all the good work you've done in another. To really build an accessible digital world, you have to be thinking about all of it, all the time.
So when we look at the whole journey of a piece of digital content, from the moment it's created to the moment someone uses it, we can finally move past just ticking off boxes on a checklist. We can start to build a genuinely inclusive digital world. So I'll leave you with this question. In your own work, in your corner of this digital world, which part of this ecosystem are you going to focus on and make more accessible?